Well, just one day to go before Election Day, and most forecasters are expecting Republicans to take control of the House while the Senate is still a toss-up. Let's bring in Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman, who's got his eye on all of the polls for us this morning. Rick, how bad do things look for Democrats going into Tuesday?
The conversation at this point is basically with regard to the House. Will there be a red wave or a red ripple? In other words, a red wave would probably be Republicans winning more than 30 seats and taking a very solid majority. And if they take, let's say, 25 seats or fewer, that would be a red ripple, which means they did pretty well. They took control of the House, but not with a commanding vote that they would probably like. The Senate remains a toss-up, and one important thing to note there are a couple of races that might not even get called tomorrow because of the way they count votes in states such as Georgia and in Pennsylvania. The Georgia race, if it's close enough, could end up going to a runoff. And we simply may not know the vote total by tomorrow night in Pennsylvania. And the Senate is so close that those types of races could determine who controls the Senate. So we may not know about the Senate tomorrow, but I think we will know about the House.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything we've learned from 2020, it's that we need to be a little patient come election night because those votes don't come in right away. We saw President Biden out on the campaign trail over the weekend, really trying to hammer home this message about democracy being at stake if Republicans take control of Congress in some way again. But there's an interesting study out from one think tank, Rick, that seems to suggest that a lot of voters think Democrats are the ones that have gone to extremes.
Yeah, this is very interesting. It's a think tank called Third Way, and they position themselves, the name tells you, as a moderate or centrist think tank that tries to find middle ground between both parties. And they say they've done a poll recently, and their conclusions are they didn't just do polling on candidates, do you approve or disapprove, but on messaging and the brand of each of these parties. And they find that while Republicans have a lot of extremist candidates, Democrats are not really capitalizing on that because Democrats have a branding problem too. Many voters think that Democrats don't stand for hard work and self-sufficiency. And one thing that really stood out to me, they asked this group of voters they surveyed whether they support President Biden's student debt relief plan. And of all voters, there was a 13% difference in terms of approval or disapproval, 13% disapproval. And among independent voters, the ones who often swing elections, 22% disapproval difference. So that tells you that the Democrats keep trying to give voters things that the electorate doesn't really want. And I think this is why so many people feel disgusted with their choices. They don't feel like they have a good choice on either the Democratic or the Republican side. But we're probably going to see a high turnout tomorrow because voters in both parties are pretty energized, though for different reasons.